what a poker range really is. In online poker games, you do not play a hand, you play a range. If you keep thinking in single-hand terms, your decisions will always feel like guesses. When you think in ranges, your choices become repeatable, measurable, and profitable. A poker range is the full set of hands you can realistically have in a given spot, based on position, the action so far, stack depth, and player tendencies. Your job pre-flop is to build ranges that are coherent, hard to exploit, and still exploit the pool when it matters. What range means practically. A range is not a vibe, it is a list of combos that would take the same action. When you open the button, you are saying, my range contains X% of hands. When you 3-bet from the small blind, you are saying, these combos make money as a 3-bet versus this opener and this player type. That is why ranges are the language of modern poker theory. Once you speak that language, you can compare expected value between lines. You can also spot when your own strategy is leaking, like I defend too tight versus steals, or I 3-bet only premiums so my range is face up. Range hierarchy, pre-flop. Pre-flop ranges are easiest to learn when you categorize them. You need a hierarchy, because not all ranges are built for the same job. First, opening range, hands you raise first in from a given position. Second, calling range, hands you continue with as a flat when someone raises. Third, 3-bet range, hands you re-raise with, both for value and as bluffs. Fourth, 4-bet range, hands you re-raise the 3-bet with. Fifth, defending range, hands you continue with from the blinds versus opens. If you do not separate these buckets, you end up with hope poker, where you call because a hand looks pretty and then you play post-flop without a plan. That is how people justify set mining in bad spots or taking passive lines that cannot beat rake. Ranges are built from combos, not hand names. When we say ace-king, that is shorthand. The real unit is the combo. Each distinct suit arrangement is its own combo, and combo counts drive frequency and balance. First, unpaired offsuit hands have 12 combos, like ace-king offsuit. Second, unpaired suited hands have 4 combos, like ace-king suited. Third, pocket pairs have 6 combos, like pocket queens. Why you care? If you always 3-bet ace-king, but you only 3-bet suited broadways otherwise, your 3-bet range becomes weirdly weighted. It changes how often you show up with certain board coverage, which changes how your c-bets perform. Relative strength is everything, and combo math tells you what strength you actually have at frequency. What shapes a pre-flop range? In practice, 5 inputs do most of the work. Get these right and your ranges become consistent across tables, even when multi-tabling. First, position, later position can open wider because you realize more equity. Second, who is left to act, opening the cutoff is different when button is a tough regular versus a recreational player. Third, stacks, 100 big blinds deep, plays differently than 200 big blinds deep. Deeper stacks reward suited hands and connectedness, but only if you are not torching money with passive flats. Fourth, rake. Online rake punishes thin calls. You need a stronger reason to call, especially from the blinds and in small pots. Fifth, player pool tendencies. The average online population overfolds in some nodes and underdefends in others. Context dictates strategy, but your baseline should still be logically sound. Your range versus villain's range. Pre-flop is not only about what you hold, it is about how your range interacts with their range. When your range has more strong hands and more nutted combos on average, you often get to apply pressure. Post-flop. Example, button open versus big blind call. Button has more high cards, more strong broadways, more overpairs. Big blind has more suited junk, more low-connected hands, and more random pairs. That difference drives who has the range advantage on which boards. If you do not know what each range looks like, your flop decisions turn into autopilot. You start betting because I raised pre, not because your range benefits from betting. Why passive pre-flop play gets you taxed. Most newer players call too much pre-flop because it feels safe. In online poker, passivity gets punished by two things, aggression and rake. A flat call needs a clean plan for post-flop realization, not just maybe I hit. I am not saying never call. I am saying your calling range has to be disciplined. If you are calling hands that do not realize equity well, you are donating. This is also why set mining as a default idea is so dangerous. If the stacks, positions, and opponents are not right, it is simply negative expected value. Hand scenario. Button, range, and action. Game. 100 big blinds online cash, 6 max. Hero is on the button. Villain is in the big blind. Hero hand. Ace of hearts. Queen of hearts. Pre-flop. Folds to hero. Hero opens to 2.2 big blinds. Big blind calls. Flop. Queen of spades. 7 of clubs. 3 of hearts. Action. Big blind checks. Hero bets 33% pot. Big blind folds. What just happened is not, I had top pair so I bet. It is, my button opening range contains a heavy concentration of Queen X, overpairs, and strong backdoor hands, and Big Blind's defending range contains many hands that miss this texture. A small bet pressures the portion of Big Blind's range that has poor equity and poor realization, like low offsuit hands and weak backdoors. You win because your range is structurally favored and your sizing exploits how often Big Blind has to give up. How to start using ranges today. You do not need to memorize 13 by 13 charts on day 1. You need structure and consistency. Build a baseline for each position, then adjust for who is left to act. First, step 1. Define a default opening range by position, under the gun tightest, button widest. Second, step 2. Define a default big blind defending range versus button, because it is the most common online spot. Third, step 3. Split your continuing hands into 3 bet versus call. Do not lump them together. Fourth, step 4. Run a quick logic check. Can you name the value region, the bluff region, and the middling region? Fifth, step 5. Make one exploit at a time, like opening wider when the blinds overfold, or 3-betting more when a regular opens wide and folds to 3 bets. If you do this, you stop relying on feelings. Your pre-flop game becomes a system, and systems scale when you add tables. Key takeaway. A poker range is the set of combos you can have after taking an action. Pre-flop, build ranges by category, opening, calling, 3-betting, defending. Let position, who is left to act, stack depth, and online rake shape the width. When you think in ranges, you stop guessing and start choosing lines that are profitable at frequency. Now, let's test your edge. Question 1. What is a poker range as defined in the article? Answer. The full set of hands, combos, you can realistically have in a given spot after taking an action. Explanation. The article frames ranges as the realistic combo set shaped by factors like position, action, stacks, and tendencies, not a single hand. Question 2. Name the 5 pre-flop range categories listed in the range hierarchy pre-flop section. Answer. Opening range, calling range, 3-bet seat range, 4-bet range, defending range. Explanation. The article says, pre-flop ranges are easiest when separated into these distinct buckets, so you don't default to unplanned hope poker. Question 3. According to the combo counts provided, how many combos are there for an unpaired offsuit hand, an unpaired suited hand, and a pocket pair? Answer. Unpaired offsuit 12 combos, unpaired suited 4 combos. Pocket pair 6 combos. Explanation. The article emphasizes that combos, not hand names, are the real unit for frequency and balance, then lists these exact combo counts. Question 4. What are the 5 main inputs the article says shape a pre-flop range in practice? Answer. Position, who is left to act, stacks, rake, and player pool tendencies. Explanation. The article lists these 5 factors as doing most of the work for building consistent ranges across tables. Question 5. In the button versus big blind example on the Queen 7-3 flop, What was the core reason given for betting small 33% pot? Answer, because the button opening range is structurally favored on that texture and a small bet pressures the big blind's high-frequency misses with poor equity and realization. Explanation. The article explains it wasn't just top pair, but a range-based bet exploiting how often the big blind's defending range misses and must give up. Study hard, play smart. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next lesson.